Now let us begin again from the last topic what we concluded in the previous video. That was classification of resources on the basis of status of development. First one is the potential resources. These are the resources which are likely to exist in an area. If you want, you can take the example of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So these two states are having maximum potential to generate solar energy and wind energy. But as surveying and mapping have not been done so, we don't have exact figure of the quantity of energy what can be generated. Second one, developed resources. These are the resources for which surveying and mapping have been done and the quantity and quality have been determined. And with regard to the utilization of these resources depends on technology and the feasibility level of the community. Next one is a stock. So these are the materials which are available in the environment, and these materials are having potential to satisfy our needs or the requirements, but we don't have appropriate technology. If you want, you can take the example of water. So water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, and both these two are highly inflammable gases, and they will able to eliminate the crisis of energy, particularly electricity, from not only India but whole world. But till now we don't have technology to utilize. The next one, that is reserve. So with regard to the reserve, it is a part of a stock which can be put into use with the help of existing technical know-how, but the community is not utilizing it, and this type of resource has been kept for future use. So this type of resources can be termed as reserve. Now we'll discuss about the problems created by indiscriminate utilization of resources. So all of you know that we people have been utilizing the resources indiscriminately, without any planning, without any thinking, and due to overexploitation of resources, we are facing different types of socio-economic and ecological problems. Many resources got depleted due to indiscriminate utilization. Then another point is resources got accumulated in the hands of few people only, and due to which what has happened, society has been divided into two groups, haves and have nots, or you can say rich and the poor. So if you will take the example of our country, what you will notice, most of the resources directly or indirectly are owned by some of the families only, like Tata, like Reliance. So these companies, these families are having ownership over maximum resources of our country. Then excessive and indiscriminate utilization of resources has created a different ecological problem like global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental degradation, and several other problems also. It may be like land pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. Now, how to eliminate or come out of this problem of socio-economic and environmental problem what we are facing due to the indiscriminate utilization of resources? So here, sustainable utilization of resource or sustainable development can help us a lot. So when we are talking about sustainable utilization of resource, in very simple sentence, we can define in this way: the development or the utilization of resources without damaging the environment, without hampering the environment, and also the needs or the requirement of present generation must be fulfilled without compromising with the needs of future generation. So this is the meaning of sustainable development. What is given here also, the economic development which does not damage the environment and at the same time takes care of needs of the future generation is called sustainable development. Again, I am repeating, utilization of resource without hampering the environment and fulfilling the needs of the present generation without compromising with the needs of future generation is known as sustainable utilization of resource or sustainable development of resources. After that, we will discuss about resource planning. In very simple sentence, what we can say, it is a technique or a skill of proper utilization of resources. So this is having three stages, three levels are there. First one, that is the identification and inventory of the resources across the regions of the country, and this involves surveying and mapping. And after surveying and mapping, the quantity and the quality of the resources are determined. Then second one is planning for exploitation. This involves planning a structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup for implementing resource development plan. And third one, that is matching the resource development plan with overall national development plan. These are the three stages of resource planning. After that, we will discuss about importance of resource planning. First one, importance, or we can say the need also, or the requirement of resource planning. First one, we know that in India, some regions are rich in certain types of resources and poor in some other resources. You will take the example of peninsular part of India. This area is rich in mineral wealth, but with regard to the plains and the mountains, they are devoid of minerals. But mountains are rich in forest wealth and the water resources. The great northern plain is rich in soil resource. Then some regions are self-sufficient while other regions are very poor in important resources. Like Madhya Pradesh is rich in many resources but Ladakh is poor in resources. Then wastage of resources can be avoided by planning. This is the another important, when we will utilize a particular resource in planned way manner, so that will avoid wastage of resources. We will able to control environmental pollution also. Then by the process of planning only, over exploitation of the resources can be avoided. After that, we will discuss about resource conservation. So when we are talking about conservation of resources, in very simple sentence, what we can say, sustainable and optimum utilization of resource is known as conservation of resource. So what is sustainable development? Just I have told you. And when we are talking about optimum, means we can utilize a single resource to fulfill our maximum needs but in sustainable way. So this is very simple but accurate definition of resource conservation: sustainable and optimum utilization of resources. So with regard to the needs, first, many of the resources are non-renewable in nature, they are exhaustible in nature. Second one, conservation of resources help us to reduce wastage, and not only wastage but also we will able to reduce or the control environmental degradation also. After that, we'll discuss about the ideas of Gandhiji regarding conservation of resource. He believed that there is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. But as we people are greedy, selfish, so we have overexploited the resources. And due to the overexploitation of resources only, we are facing different types of socio-economic and ecological problems. He was against the mass production and wanted to replace it with production by masses. After that, we'll discuss about land degradation. So, with regard to the land degradation, in a very simple sentence, what we can say, the process by which land becomes unfit for cultivation is known as land degradation. So, in India, land has been degraded by different ways. So, total degraded land in our country is about 130 million hectares, out of which 28% belong to forest degraded, 56% water eroded, and rest is affected by saline and alkaline. And human activities are also there, like deforestation, overgrazing, mining, quarrying. So these are also the other fact reasons due to which land has been degraded. After that, we will discuss about the land conservation measures. So, with regard to the land conservation measures, we can conserve land in different ways. First one, we will able to prevent soil erosion by controlling or stopping deforestation, grazing, encouraging afforestation, and practicing trace farming in hilly areas. Then shelter belts, rows of trees are known as shelter belts. So shelter belts can be planted to stabilize sand dunes, and we can grow thorny bushes also in the desert area to prevent land degradation in desert. Then mining activities should be controlled. We can use sophisticated or listed technology in mining and processing to reduce the wastage and also to control degradation of the environment. Urban waste should be used for production of biogas and biomanure, and over irrigation, because over irrigation is main cause of salinity and alkalinity in the soil, generally in the states of Punjab and Haryana. So what is salinity or alkalinity? In very simple sentence, what we can say, the process by which percentage of saline or alkaline increases in the soil is known as salinity or alkalinity. And this salinity or alkalinity occurs only due to the excessive irrigation. Okay, about the remaining next topic, soil, we will discuss in next slide.